the end of the world to a mass human sacrifice event to declaration of martial.
I want to talk about spiritual psychosis, and I'm going to give my point of view based on science and facts, and also based on my experiences. Spiritual psychosis can be rooted in fear and feeling like something is off in someone's life, like they don't belong, something's wrong with them or the world. So depending on what the person does with that emotion can either create one of two things. If they speak to professionals about what's happening inside their brain, what the emotions mean to them, then that could be a path of healing, a path of finding inner peace through this human experience. Now, on the other hand, if someone takes those feelings and creates a belief around those feelings and then even expresses them to others who either share the same belief or start also believing that that is truth, something actually happens in the brain. The first thing that happens is confirmation bias. So we have something in our mind called the reticular activating system that filters out information that contradicts our belief. If we start believing something to our core, our reality is just going to keep proving that, and we will forget anything that disproves our beliefs. And the more we do that, there will be a change of chemistry in our brain. So let's say I have a belief that the world is going to end on the eclipse. And then I see other people either making videos or talking in person about the same belief. My brain will get a surge of the dopamine chemical, and I'll have disorganized thinking and even extend to delusions. And the more I believe those delusions, a chemical will be released called cortisol, which will cause me more stress, which can then lead to the psychosis. A lot of people believe that spiritual psychosis is us running in the street naked, asking God to take us. Spiritual psychosis is when we have overwhelming emotions of delusion, of hallucinations, and when facts are disproving what we believe, we will reject those facts. For example, the eclipse just happened, and a lot of people were disappointed that the rapture didn't happen or that we didn't ascend. And even though things remain the same, we're still living the human experience, people will try to find evidence to confirm their biases. They will argue with people, they will fight people, or they'll even ignore what just happened and continue on the path of the delusion. And here's what happens to the brain when people are living this. The first episode can result in a loss of up to 1% of the total brain volume and up to 3% of the cortical matter in the brain. If the person continues on this path and this does not get treated, about 10 to 12 cc's of brain tissue can be permanently damaged, which in turn can create more psychotic episodes, more beliefs contradicting facts, more emotional outbursts and feelings of fear. And this can cause people to lose touch with reality and also have a ripple effect to cause other people to go into spiritual psychosis. So it is possible to heal and for your brain to go back to normal after a spiritual psychosis episode. So we first need to be aware of what's happening in our brain, and we need to be okay with challenging our biases, understanding that something may be wrong on a chemical level, and perhaps we can talk to somebody that does not feed into the delusions of what we're believing. The reason I'm bringing this up, to find someone that thinks critically but also has an open mind, is because there is a rise in either content creators or coaches that are feeding in to the delusion and the spiritual psychosis. I was following someone for a long time that I resonated with because I do have spiritual beliefs and I do meditate every day, which I'll explain after. So I resonated with the whole extraterrestrial stuff and all that. And when I noticed the spiritual psychosis is when this person went from an open belief to believing that she herself was a child of aliens. And there were quite a few people that felt that they didn't belong, so that was their logical explanation. And the more that they talked about it, the more the illusions and the delusions grew. They grew so much that they now take their beliefs as facts. And anybody who believes differently is in the wrong, which leads me to my story. I was born and raised Christian Catholic. I was baptized. I got my first communion. I did my confirmation. And not because my parents were very religious. It's because they had the pressure of their religious family. Since I was little, my mom always taught me to find my own beliefs and sit with it, but also respect that other people around the world are going to have their own beliefs. And our beliefs can evolve, they can change throughout our life, and that's okay. So a huge chunk of my family left the church and went into a cult-like mentality belief. And this is one of the biggest cults in the world, so other people were feeding into what they believe to be true, which they believe are facts. Now, I never was able to get into this. If anything, I got a little bit of trauma from that experience. So I went on my own path and I started meditating and finding the truth that was right for me. And sometimes you'll hear me share those beliefs on my videos, but after every video, I always say that this could not be true. This is true for me. I say that because my own beliefs have changed over time. I have made peace with being able to say maybe. And I know the word maybe scares a lot of people, especially when you feel like the world's going to crap and you feel like you don't fit in. Maybe is especially scary when we don't know what happens to our physical body after we pass away. It is so scary to say, I don't know. But the one thing I did for my mental health throughout this human experience is number one, being able to be okay with pain and fear, sitting with it, finding peace even in the hard times. And number two is releasing control, because spiritual psychosis and not being able to say maybe is wanting to control this human experience, wanting to know that there is some level of control, whether it's coming from us or from a God or a deity or something. Being able to say that I am okay with fear and I am okay with releasing control is the biggest freedom that you can find throughout this time on earth. Now, the one thing that I believe, there are people in power that have a lot of money that want to keep people in fear and control. And those people want us to have releases in the stress hormones. Because when we're feeling anger and fear and we go into psychosis or spiritual psychosis and we start believing that, we will fight anybody who doesn't believe in that. We will group up together with other people that believe into our beliefs that are not factual, and then we will fight other people that believe in that. And they will gaslight us. Those people in power will gaslight us and they will feed into our delusion. And this is factual. We have seen people in power getting caught in their lies. We are able to prove things that they have done. So basically, they're gaslighting us. It's okay to be aware of that. It's okay to know that there are people that don't want the best for us. But here's the thing. If I in power make you believe that you're nuts, and then other people believe you're nuts, and then other people believe that other people are nuts, and then everybody around the world is just a bunch of nutsos, I can sit here up on my high horse and just laugh at everybody. If we can learn to become aware and find the balance between who has our best interests, so there are many doctors and scientists that want the best for people. I have friends and family that are doctors and scientists that I know are not trying to scam and manipulate, and then know who doesn't have your best interests. So just become aware, use the critical thinking, have your beliefs, but try to master saying maybe. Saying maybe prevents you from going into the psychosis, feeling the fear and the stress and fighting with others. If you are someone that meditates, find the balance between meditating and going into that experience, but also be okay with just being human. When you find that balance, you find inner peace and you no longer feel the need to argue and fight with others. And if you do, you're able to recenter yourself and go, okay, what am I feeling? And become aware of what you're feeling. As within, so without.